What the fuck is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tony's Corner. As you can see, we will be ranking films of Martin Scorsese, the one and only, or Scorsese, however the fuck you say his name. Realistically, dude, I think this really just depends on how you say it. No, I'm just kidding. There is a correct way to say it. I'm one that am not good with names, so you guys know that by now. However, you keep coming back for a reason, right? Maybe you like those tier lists. I've noticed that a lot of you like these tier lists. So that's essentially what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of films on this that I have seen, but there's also some that I have not seen, or some that I haven't seen in a while. We're going to play fair. We'll do the best we can with these, but there are a few on here I'm noticing I haven't seen. Eventually, we will also be doing a mafia crime tier list. For those of you that don't know, horror films are my number one love, but number two, coming in close anyway, is mafia, cartel. I love anything and all things crime. They're amazing. Martin just happens to be that guy. So I decided we'll pick him for now. He's got a freaking plethora of great, look at these movies he's made, man. He's got so many fucking good movies. The only issue that I realistically have with some of these is they're a little out of pocket. You know what I mean? Like, Martin has made some out of pocket films. And that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with, an out-of-pocket film. You don't want to be typecast as a director, an actor, whatever. So it's kind of cool to see that we do have this list here. I mean, think of it like this. Marty's probably 80, 90 years old at this point. So, be grateful that we even got this. But let's go ahead and kick it off. Well, let me read these tiers to you. So I'm an old man. I don't quite know how to use the internet just yet. So I'm learning slowly. I'm learning that right now I'm in presentation mode for the tier list, so you guys can see pretty much everything from the background anyway. But let's start with these tiers. So our first one is masterpiece, right? This is like great, amazing. Second one is great, amazing. Third one is it's I. That's a term I like to use quite a bit. So it's I, I'm sure you've heard that term before. Fourth one is terrible. This movie sucks dick. Not going to hide that. The fifth one is haven't seen it. Because like I said, there were some on here that I have not seen. So we had to include that. Let's start with the first one, After Hours. This one's a comedy as far as I know. Seen it a couple times. I liked it. It's That's where I'm going to be putting it. I know that might not sit well with a lot of people. Some people really like this film. And hey, that's fine. There ain't nothing wrong with After Hours. It's a good movie. Like I said, it's not bad. It's just not one that I jump to all the time. And I wouldn't say it's terrible either. This is a movie that someone like my dad, who grew up in the 70s, would talk about. There you go. Next one, I think it's called Bringing the Fuck? I don't think I've ever seen this one, actually. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and put that one on to have never seen it. Yeah, Bringing Out the Dead with Nicolas Cage. I've never seen this film. Can't even believe it's a Martin Scorsese film. That is crazy. You learn something new every day. All right, our next one is Cape Fear. This is one that I absolutely love. It's a good movie. It is a remake. The OG one's pretty good too, but man, this one is where De Niro's strength really shows. He is evil in this, man. Nick Nolte's in it as well. And if you've never seen this movie, dude, do yourself a favor, go out and watch it. I honestly highly suggest watching this over the OG one from the 60s. They're both the same. It's the same concept. Basically, without spoiling too much, a lawyer played by Nick Nolte is being stalked by a guy who he purposely made sure was put in prison for rape and battery of a teenage girl. Now, the lawyer was supposed to defend him, and so he clearly didn't do that. De Niro's character gets out by the name of Max Cady, as I believe. Yeah, that's the name of the character, Max Cady. But Max gets out and taunts, the lawyer's family, and it gets to a point where he pretty much has to hire a bodyguard. He has to do all this stuff. And the cool thing about this movie, too, is some of the actors from the OG film show up in this and play supporting roles. So that is kind of cool to see. Now, in terms of where we're putting it, I would like to take the time to say that Cape Fear is most definitely going to be put into masterpiece. Yeah, this is a good one. I don't see how anyone could dislike it, honestly. I think it's a pretty good flick. Coming up next, Casino. Ooh, I like Casino. So this one is a movie that I saw later in life when I was like a teenager. That's around the time I went through my little mafia phase. I'd seen a lot of his other films when I was younger. But by the time I was, I'd say in middle school is when I saw Casino. Man, maybe I was younger. Maybe I was like 11 or 12. These were MySpace days. Because I remember decking my shit out with a bunch of like, casino-themed kind of backgrounds and stuff like that. My friends used to get annoyed by it. Even in 6th, 7th grade, I was obsessed with these movies. But Casino is a film basically about the mob taking over Vegas and kind of the rise and fall of the mafia in Las Vegas. It is nonfiction. It's Hollywood. I will say this. It is based off of a novel. Never read it, but I've done research on a lot of the people that are in this movie. Well, the characters they play anyway. There's a lot that it's on, those characters. It's very interesting too. It's worth more looking into that than it is watching the movie, honestly. Because the movie it's a Hollywood version. It's, like I said, it's somewhat nonfiction, but it is fictionalized. However, I have grown to love this movie more and more every day. I watch it more than Goodfellas now, and Goodfellas is a great movie. A lot of people like to call it the best mafia film ever made. I used to be one of those. I'm not in that camp anymore. Like I said, I like Casino even more than Goodfellas, which is a little bit different, right? Not a lot of people like that. But where do we put Casino? I am going to put this one in masterpiece as well. This is a great film. Even if you're someone that disagrees with the notion that it could be better than Goodfellas, I think you would almost agree that Casino is a masterpiece. This is a great movie. Casino and Goodfellas kind of come hand in hand when you're talking to Martin Scorsese fans. Scorsese, whatever. This one, Gangs of New York. I did not see this one until I was in college. This came out when I was like in first or second grade, so it's no wonder I've never seen it. And my parents didn't really like it either. I won't lie. It took time for it to grow on me. It took probably watching it 4 or 5 times because my initial reaction to Gangs of New York was, okay, good plot, decent acting. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is the best part of the whole movie. DiCaprio is my favorite actor of all time, but Daniel Day-Lewis really steals the show in this film. And like I said, it just takes some time. It took time for me. I don't know why. I think it is because of the fact that it's a period piece. Back in those days, I was not big into period pieces, if you will. Now I am. I do like a lot of period pieces, and this is one of them. I mean, the background is perfect, dude. It's the old school 5 Points gang, rivalry, so on and so forth. If you know anything about New York, you'll probably want to watch this movie. But does it stand the test of time? Yes, it's still a good movie. It's still amazing. I just don't think that it's as good as people have put it out to be. It's definitely not on the level of Goodfellas or Casino. It's not even on the level of Wall Street, in my honest opinion. So let me go ahead and just move this one where it belongs, which is great. I'm trying to be nice, all right? I almost put it in I. Just kidding, no. Gangs of New York is a good film. It's not bad by any measure. I just don't think that it's nearly as good as some of these other films. I really wouldn't even put Gangs in a top 5. However, great flick. It is worth watching. I highly suggest you see this movie if you have not. The next one that we're looking at here is Goodfellas. Man, this is, again, great film. Most people talk about this when you're bringing up the name Scorsese. But, like I said, I tend to enjoy Casino more. Now, let's pretend I didn't say that. And let's go towards the fact that Goodfellas is just great and everyone else is wrong. I've seen this movie more times than I can fucking count, if I'm being honest with you. God, man, this must be a movie that I've watched more than most. I mean, there's another movie on this list that is my favorite movie of all time, and I cannot wait to get to it. But man, this one is really in the rankings. This one is like, if I had a top 5, it would probably be in the top 5. But I don't know, though, man. I like Casino more. Anyway, like again, pretending I didn't say that, we're going to put Goodfellas where it deserves to be, which is going to be, bear with me, folks. Like I said, barely understanding this computer. In masterpiece. I don't know about you guys. I don't really care about like where they're at, technically speaking. Some people do, but I guess for the sake of this, let's do this. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Cape Fear is a great film, but it's not as good as Goodfellas, and it's also not as good as Casino. Goodfellas is great. I personally think Casino is better, but for the sake of argument, most people tend to go this way, so I guess to be fair, Goodfellas can just stay number 1. Again, I don't really care about the order of these. Just trying to appease some people. Hugo, this is a kid's movie that I have never seen, so I'm glad we get to skip that. Why he would choose to do a kid's movie is beyond me. It's wild. We'll just put it that way. Now here comes a legendary film. Mean Streets, man. This is a good film. This is a movie that really touches on like the mafia, the Italian mob, whatever, New York era, like 1970s. This is an old film too, dude. This is what Goodfellas could have been back then, but wasn't. Now, I've met a lot of people that think that this is a decent movie. I've met some people that say it's better than Goodfellas. I've met a lot of people that don't think it's a good movie at all. I tend to think it's one of the best. And upon rewatching it numerous times, I think it's one of Scorsese's best films ever made, honest to God truth. It's definitely up there. So we're going to be putting this one where it belongs, which is masterpiece. In terms of, I am going to put it behind Cape Fear. It's a good movie, but Cape Fear I would still watch right over Mean Streets. Like I said, I love Mean Streets. These movies right here, there's a couple more that'll be following, but these movies right here, they're like my go-to when it comes to Martin. All right, Boxcar Bertha. This one I've seen. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't care for this movie. I really don't care for this movie. I wish there was a section that I would have made for like, I don't care. But it's not even really I just don't, it bores me. I guess I have to put it in terrible in this case. Yeah, it's a terrible film. I don't care for it. That might piss some people off, but I'm just being honest with you guys. I do not care about this movie. And you know what? Let's get another one out of the way that I don't care about. This one, because I'm just going to put it in terrible. It's one segment that he directed. The rest of it's by a bunch of other directors. I don't give a fuck about this movie. I really don't. All right, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. This is also a very legendary film. However, it is not one that I like to go back and rewatch numerous times. It is great, so we'll put it at great. All right, so here we have our list thus far. Okay, moving on to The Color of Money. Again, another good film, but I really wouldn't rewatch it as much. There's tons of movies on this list that I think are just exponentially better. You know what I mean? It's an okay film, though. I think we're going to definitely put this one at great. Let's go ahead and put this at... you know what? Yeah, I'll be fair. Let's put it at great. I was going to second guess myself and put it in its eye, but it's still a good movie. It's a classic. It's just not something I go back to all the time. I mean, yeah, realistically, I'd probably watch it over After Hours. Yeah, I think I feel confident in that one. This one, Kundun, I have never seen this movie either. We're going to go ahead and put that right there. All right. I'm kind of upset that we're doing this movie right now because this is my favorite movie of all time. If you know me, then you know that Departed is my number one favorite movie of all fucking time. Absolutely love this movie. I wish there was another tier for it that I would have created, but we're going to just put this one where it rightfully belongs, right up at Masterpiece. Yes, I think it is better than Goodfellas. Yes, I think it is honestly Scorsese's best film he's ever made. Just kidding. I'm only saying that because I'm biased. This is my favorite movie of all time, dude. Talk about a movie about deception and information and bad communication. Dude, if you are not a mafia fan, and if you're not a fan of like how movies portray cops, watch The Departed. You'll like it. It's got something in there for everyone. What I like is that it takes the concept of good and bad and kind of flips it upside down. And it really makes it not necessarily about good and bad, but like who in the arena, what are their intentions when it comes to good and bad? And realistically, again, who is in your arena? In this dark arena, if you will, who is the snake and who is not? And what I like is that in this film, you kind of find out right away from the very beginning of the get-go who's who. And you're put in the perception of each individual. I like that. The only person that doesn't really he stands out, he shines, but I would argue you don't really get to be put in his shoes. Jack Nicholson's character of Frank Costello. He's great, dude. He definitely makes this movie, but you know, while he's the villain of the film, you do not see it from his side of things. This film, you really do follow it in DiCaprio's direction and Matt Damon's direction. I don't want to spoil too much, but this is a movie that when it ended, my buddy and I, for the first time watching it, turned to each other in 2006 and we were like, God damn, that was fucking crazy. And here's the thing too, I went into this not knowing that this was a Martin Scorsese film. I literally had no idea. This was just something that a buddy of mine, we wanted to go see it. We were like, it looks decent, let's go see it. It's something to do, no other movie at the box office right now. So as young kids, my mom dropped us off. We went and saw it and we snuck in. Damn, even for being a kid at that time, holy shit, dude. We knew that this was a gold mine. And to this day, it stands the test of time. Next film, Shutter Island. This is also a very, very great film. This one, here's the thing, guys. I have argued up and down that this is, I'm going to go ahead and just stick it where it deserves to be, which is great. I would argue that, yes, this one is, come on now, this one is better than Gangs of New York. But Shutter Island, I'm going to stick in great. Here's why. It is a good movie. It is one that I do actually return to watch quite a bit. It is not a masterpiece, though. This one could have been done better. I will say this, though. As much as I love this movie, even with its flaws, this is one of like 2 movies that I've ever seen in my life that follow the source material pretty much page for page. For those of you that don't know, Shutter Island's based off of a novel from, I think his name's Dennis Lane or Lee Hain. I don't know how to say his last name. But he is a, Boston crime writer, if you will. I wouldn't quite call him that because he's written more than just Boston crime, but he's a Boston native that talks about the lifestyle growing up in Boston in those times. This one's different. This one's more of a psychological thriller. And that's what the movie is too. Now here's the thing. I did not read the book until a little bit before I saw the movie. Because when I saw the trailer for the movie, I thought, okay, this is going to be a suspense thriller by Martin. That's weird. What the fuck? I had to read the book to fully understand the concept here of like just how big this really was. And this is unlike anything that Martin has done. I will say that this is different. This is a very, like I said, it's not a masterpiece, but it is pretty damn good. It's great. I wish more people had love for it the way I do. It's got a fucked up twist, dude. The ending is pretty on par with the book. The only thing they change about it is just kind of the viewer's perception. Like in the book, it's a little more straightforward. In the movie, it really is up for you to decide, is he crazy or is he just trying to get at it? All right, next one. Who's that knocking at my door? As far as I know, this is his first feature film. I believe so. My research could be off, but I've read all over this is his first feature film. It's I've seen it numerous times. I'd say for a film of its time, it's classic. You know, it's good. It doesn't have anything really wrong with it. It's just, it's an early film from a up and coming director who was learning the ropes. So to some people, this might be like, hey, fucking milestone. Look at the beginning of these accolades. To me, it's just one of his earlier films. It's not that I don't have love for it, but I don't have hate for it either. It's, again, I've watched it a few times. Probably wouldn't watch it again. I do suggest watching it though. But I am sticking it at its eye. For our next one, New York, New York. Get ready for this one, people. I would love to be the first one to just say it. I think this movie's terrible. My dad put it on for me when I was a kid. I watched it with him. I didn't fucking care for this movie at all. Dude, I don't care for this movie. This is one that, hold on. This is a bad movie. Yeah, that's a bad movie. This is also a bad movie. That one, I just don't care for it. But that's what makes it bad. New York, New York, it just sucks, dude. New York is not my cup of tea. There we go. I'm trying to be nice. Now here comes a good one. Raging Bull. Dude, this is actually supposedly based on a true story of a boxer that had a fucking ticking time bomb in his head. Like, he had nothing but attitude issues, beating his wife. Of course, there's connections to the mob. This really is a good movie when it comes to, like, again, that era of the 60s and 70s. It's worth checking out. I believe this is a movie that has become kind of one of those things that like they make students watch now in high school, which is like so bizarre to me because I didn't watch it in high school at all. I had to go on my own to find this fucking movie. But yeah, we're going to be putting Raging Bull, I would say, in great. It's not a masterpiece to me. It is a good film, but it's just not a masterpiece. I think what kills me the most is the choice to use the black and white filter for filming. It was done for a reason, but I am not a big fan of it. It really fucks up my experience with the movie. However, this is a movie that I would argue up and down just for the sake of De Niro and Pesci's performances. Fantastic. If you like, Italian mafia style movies, you will like this one. I wouldn't argue that it's a mafia movie, but it has elements of the mob in it. Silence, I think, is what this is called, right? Yeah. I have also never seen this one. I remember hearing about it and seeing that Adam Driver was in it, I believe. Personally, I chose not to see it. This came out at a time where I didn't really have a lot of interest in Hollywood films. Something I'm still combating right now. I'm getting better, but at the time I kind of went on like I'm not watching a bunch of these newer movies, and this was one of them for some reason. So I am going to be honest with you guys and put it where it should go, which is haven't seen it, because I have not. All right, guys, we're coming down to what I like to call a masterpiece. Probably one of the greatest films ever made. It's got to be in the top 10 somewhere. I mean, it really is hard when you're trying to figure out what is Scorsese's best film ever made. And for a lot of people, this one does come up, Taxi Driver. This one is phenomenal. And you know what? I'm putting it in masterpiece because it is a masterpiece. This is a very, very good film. I mean, De Niro alone, dude, most people's like education for, at least for the like, the whole De Niro archives comes from Taxi Driver. It's one of his like first big films. Some people say it's the film that made him. I've found out that's not true. There's a bunch of other movies before that. But this one is one that sticks out because of the fact that it really dives into, like society and how our society treats veterans and what happens to people that go crazy over time when they are bunched into a society that literally does not pay any attention to them. This is a very political movie. I've heard people call it an anti-war film or anti-political film. For me, it really just exposes the time where the culture was and how we had that like anti-war image, but we also had that like bad taste in the back of our mouth of what was happening to these veterans. This is a movie that I don't want to spoil it for you. It's got a lot of famous actors in it that are young. There's a child, Jodie Foster, in it. That's also good. Harvey Keitel, or Keitel, however you say his name. He's in this as well. He plays her pimp. But Taxi Driver is a very emotional film. It's also the basis. Well, it serves as an inspirational basis for Joker, the first film. Something that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have kind of discussed, that, you know, that's where they got a lot of their inspiration from, was films like Taxi Driver. And it does show if you watch Joker and you watch Taxi Driver back to back. It's almost like kind of the same, but not necessarily. It's really bizarre when you see it. All right. The Age of Innocence, I believe, is what this is called. Also, I've never seen it. There's a group of movies on here I've never fucking seen in my life. All right. The Aviator. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is another good film, but this is going to piss so many people off. I honestly believe it's It's, like I said, it's a good film, but it's not, I don't know, it's disappointing in my opinion. I remember when I first watched it, to be clear, did not know that it was a Martin Scorsese film, or Scorsese, my apologies, however the fuck you say it. Now that we're over that. But I did not know that that's what this was, and I watched it with my mother, and it was, you know, a good movie for like it being like basically a period piece, if you ask me. But for what it's worth, dude, this movie doesn't like move the needle for me. It doesn't do anything for me like these other films do. DiCaprio is my favorite actor. Like I said, I'm not trying to steal anything from this movie. It is a good movie. It's just, to me, it's It's a 3-star film at best. Get upset in the comment section. I don't care. All right, The Irishman. So, funny little story about this. When I was in high school, right when my little crime phase picked up, I had become obsessed with a game from Nintendo Wii called The Godfather, the Black Hand Edition. It was a fun game to play if you had a Nintendo Wii, and dude, it's a game that's really hard to find now for some reason. But anyway, I played it, and when I bought it from the store that I went to, it wasn't a GameStop at the time, it was something else. But when I had gotten it, the guy that sold it to me was like, "Hey man, you ever heard of like Jimmy Hoffa?" And I was just like, "No, you know, I'm a young kid still learning the ropes of crime." And he was like, "Look, man, if you're really into like that mafia shit, you got to look up stuff about Jimmy Hoffa, the Teamsters Union, and all that stuff." And he was like, "You know what? Start with a book called I Heard You Paint Houses." Read that book, dude. Great fucking book. But again, it was a speculative book. It's one of those books where it's another, realistically, it is kind of another theory that is presented to you that, oh, here's someone that we may know killed Jimmy Hoffa, even though we don't actually know what happened to Jimmy Hoffa or where his body is. Do you believe in this story? I don't. But there was a time where I did. It's a very compelling book. It's really, really good, dude. The movie is fucking awesome. When the movie came out, I couldn't believe it, dude. I was like upset that this was a movie that went to Netflix and wasn't, you know, in theaters. Like, that was crazy to me. I know it went to theaters for like 30 days or something like that. Like, it was just bizarre to me that it basically did a whole Netflix launch. So, The Irishman, guys, if I'm being honest with you, this one is a great film. Would not call it a masterpiece. For what it's worth, it is a masterpiece in the sense that this is a movie where Martin teams back up with De Niro and Pesci, something we haven't seen since the 90s. And they involve Pacino, which is, dude, dream fucking team. Everybody wanted to see this movie. The problem was there's a lot of use of CGI. That's kind of what they have to do to make this work. And I'm not going to lie, it looks pretty good for being CGI. You know, it looks great. They did great making De Niro and Pesci, and these guys look young, and then letting them age naturally in the film. It was cool what they did, how they used AI to make these guys look so young again. And it really felt like, damn, we're back. Haven't seen this again since the early 90s. We're fucking back. It's awesome to see. But as a film, to me, it falls short in terms of like, damn, can this be up there with Casino and Goodfellas? Almost, not quite. Almost. Maybe my opinion will change. Maybe it will be moved up, because you know what? There was a time where I thought that Taxi Driver was a great film, but not a masterpiece. I really think, you know, it's just like music. It's subjective. It really just depends on who you are as the person. But I firmly believe that while The Irishman is a good 4.5-star film, it just it's not up there as a top 5, especially not in like the best of Scorsese. All right. King of Comedy. This one to me is fucking terrible. Maybe it's from the fact that I'm from a different time. I don't find this movie funny at all. In fact, I've never finished it, if I'm being honest with you. I think this is a terrible fucking movie. But my dad loves it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just don't see it. That's my problem. And I'm not going to talk much about it. The Last Temptation of Christ. I don't want to make this political or religious in any way, but a lot of Christians were pissed off about this movie because of the way it presents Jesus. Now, again, I'm not trying to make this religious or anything like that, but as a Christian, I will say this movie does something that I kind of understand, which is like thinking of a God, a Jesus, sorry, thinking of a Jesus that suffers with dealing with temptation. You know, it questions the idea that like maybe Jesus not necessarily was a bad guy, but maybe he had issues like the rest of us. And that's how he became the Almighty. I understand the experiment. Do I agree with it? No, of course not. Like I said, as a Christian, I'm not offended. It's a pretty good movie, to be honest with you. This one is going up into great. I'm letting you guys know that right now. However, it is not the Passion of the Christ. Do your homework. So yeah, The Last Temptation of Christ, while I understand the method and I respect what they tried to do, I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's an amazing film. It's great, but for that reason. Now, in terms of, hold on, we got to get something figured out here with great, because I'm not liking the lineup. Now that I really look at how I have these fucking set up, it's making sense to me now why people have a preference when it comes to order. It fucking makes sense. So let's do this really quick. Hold on, before I get too caught up, because we got what, one or two left? You know what? Fuck it. Let's get this last one out of the way real quick. Wolf of Wall Street, guys. This is a movie that I have loved since day one, and I am going to put it up here for now in Masterpiece. I will fix the order in just a minute, but let me explain. So, The Wolf of Wall Street, to me, was a movie that I had followed before it came out. I knew that DiCaprio wanted to make it. I knew that he begged Scorsese to do it, and Homeboy wasn't interested, which understand. If you look at the source material, you're kind of like, there's not much of a story here other than what we see every day. However, if you read the books, I should say, there's a couple of these books that Jordan Belfort wrote, the real life Jordan Belfort. Well, anyway, I read The Wolf of Wall Street by Jordan Belfort, and I remember thinking like, dude, this is bizarre. This is some crazy shit. Like, this would make a good movie. Well, you know, lo and behold, they were making the movie. So movie came out. I watched it. Pretty much like the book. A little bit different. There's some things they clearly didn't throw in there. I'm not going to complain, though. It was fucking phenomenal. To me, this was like a return to Martin Scorsese, but it was in a new fashion. This was just different, man. Like, it almost feels like this isn't a movie from him. You watch this and you're like, this just doesn't seem like a Scorsese film. It's so different. But it's got all the signature stuff in it that reminds you that, yep, this is the same guy that directed Goodfellas. So there you go. All right, guys. Because people do care about order so much when it comes to these tier lists, I think we should do the same. I think we should talk about this a little bit. The Departed is staying where it's at as number one. Just kidding, no. It doesn't have to. I think that it is one of the best movies ever made. It's my personal favorite. But let's be fair here. Goodfellas is clearly the fan favorite. Oh, okay, maybe not. There we go. I'm gonna be honest, Taxi Driver is definitely better than those movies. Wolf of Wall Street is also better than those movies. Not as... dang, this is a hard one. Wolf of Wall Street is not as good as Taxi Driver. But I would argue that... I would argue Taxi Driver is way better than Casino. I love Casino, but this seems a little bit more appropriate. Yeah, okay. I like the way this is set up. Now, let's get here. Let's get down to brass tacks. We're going to put... In terms of great, I would say the one that almost made the mark is definitely Shutter Island, then The Irishman. Raging Bull, I'd rather watch more than Gangs of New York, to be honest with you. Last Temptation's definitely... Yeah, it's there. No, yeah, this is better than Alice Doesn't Live Anymore. Okay, so this is perfect. I feel like this is fair. This is how I would rank them. In terms of its eye, because I don't care too much for these, I guess it doesn't really matter, but Aviator I'd probably watch over After Hours. And like I said, Who's Knocking at My Door? That one's if you're that interested in his career, watch it a couple times. In terms of terrible, because I don't really give a fuck about any of these movies, and I think they're all terrible, there's really not a way of... if I really had to put which one's the fucking worst one, it's definitely New York Stories. Yeah, New York Stories is the worst fucking one. Now, in terms of haven't seen it, I haven't seen these movies, but let's rank them as if I wanted to. Which one am I going to go for first? Probably Bringing Out the Dead for sure, because I'm a big Cage fan. Hugo can suck my ass. So can The Age of Innocence. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to see any of these movies. Maybe Bringing Out the Dead just because it's a Cage thing. But there you have it, folks. This is my official, you've heard it here on Tony's Corner, this is Tony's official tier list ranking of the films of Martin Scorsese. Now, I am so grateful that you guys have joined me. And I ask that you comment below, let me know your frustrations on the decisions I've made here, or if you agree or disagree, which films you love the most. Shit, maybe one day I'll actually rank these like a top, 10 or something like that. That's always fun to do, but these tier lists are really cool. I enjoy them myself too. I'm glad that you guys like these. Thanks guys again for watching Tony's Corner, and I will see you on the next one.